I'm Hans Lysglimt, and you're watching the Freedom Academy. Now, let's talk about your individual liberty. Let's talk about you in this campaign, because we don't know how this election is going to turn out. Touch wood, hopefully, Ron Paul will be the next president, but it's going to be very hard to make that happen. And we have to kind of prepare that someone else will be the president. We have to prepare for that. So what's important to look at in this Ron Paul campaign in 2008 is what we have direct control of. And we have direct control of the movement as such, and we really have to use this 2008 to build the foundation for a strong movement that will go on for years and generations, so that we can take back the government and bring down the power establishment. That's extremely important. The other important thing is for each and every one of us to think about our own personal liberty and what we can do personally for ourselves to liberate ourselves, to gain freedom in our life. This is something that we have direct control over, and we can have a lot of influence on our own personal lives, each and every one of us. And that's what I really want you to focus on in 2008, is your liberty, your personal liberty, what you can do. And if you are in the Ron Paul campaign and focus on your personal liberty, you will gain tremendously in 2008, regardless of how the presidential election goes. Isn't that really something amazing, that you can gain for your own personal liberty, your own personal freedom? And you can know this. I mean, this is a sure win for you, and that's why it's so important to make this Ron Paul campaign into something bigger. It's a foundation for a long-term movement, and it is also the spark that really set you on your way to your personal freedom. So, what can you do? What can you do about your freedom? There's a lot of things you can do. And we're going to go through them one by one. There's dozens of things you can do, maybe even hundreds of steps that you can take for yourself to achieve more personal liberty. And you have to get away from the U.S. government as much as possible. The government really is the threat. That is the Leviathan that is opposed to your freedom. So you have to get away from the U.S. government especially. The U.S. government is the biggest and strongest government on earth, and is therefore the biggest danger to your personal liberty. Most of the people in the Ron Paul campaign are also in the US, but there are people watching this campaign and in this campaign all over the world. And you have to get away from your government, to just get away from the government's ability to control you. Get as much as possible out of the way. And this means today, in our international global age, to become a global citizen as much as possible. Because if you can get stuff out of the control of your government, it might have to be in the control of another government, but if you can spread yourself thin all over the world, no one government can get at you the way they want to. Because governments are opposed to each other, and they're actually afraid of each other, and you can use that to your advantage. And my recommended strategy is to get your savings out in one country, have a bank account in another country, have your credit cards in a third country, have your email out of the US in a fourth country, maybe if you have the ability to have a second home, try to get that in Mexico or in Thailand, out of the way of the US as much as possible. Get it out, and that applies to everyone in every country. I've tried to become an international, global, cosmopolitan citizen myself and achieved some success in that, traveling around, living in different countries. And I believe this is the future for everyone that's concerned about personal liberty. We really have to spread ourselves all over the world so that no one can get at us. And I'm going to use this Freedom Academy to give some strategies for how to do that. And I've been reading most of the material out there online and the books and picking up the advice of people that have gone before us to really become internationalists. And there are a lot of things we can do, and there are some strategies for how to achieve that on each and everyone's personal level. So if you follow the Freedom Academy, you will learn the steps on how to do that. This is a sure win for you in 2008, being part of the Ron Paul campaign, fighting for what's true, fighting for what's right, fighting for Ron Paul as the president 2008, but not being discouraged if we don't win, because you have won regardless. You have won in gaining towards your own personal liberty and your own personal freedom. This is the Freedom Academy. I'm Hans Lysglimt. Thanks for watching.